Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about writing an equation again from a graph. So in this case, it's kind of like a standardized test. We're going to be talking about different strategies we can do. A couple of things that we can do immediately is we can start ruling out which ones aren't right or wrong. So we should know that there is no way that y equals 0, because at no point does our graph right here it be 0 on any of the y values. So whenever we see something like y equals 0, that means look at the origin and see if our graph is there. If it is, it's a potential answer. If it's not there, then it's not. It's not there, so it's excluded. Then again, we can do the same thing here, and we can sit there and say, well, is it at -3? So we look for -3 on y. The graph isn't touching it, so it's not an answer. Another way we could eliminate that is we need to realize that this is the same thing as -3, y equals -3 is the same thing as y equals 0x minus 3. And we're looking for no slope, which we have, and a b-intercept at -3. Again, the graph isn't here at -3, so this can't be an answer. So this is what we talked about before, where you look at y to see if -3 is touching our graph, is a shortcut method for what we just did here. So this leads to this is not a correct answer. Neither is this one. Well, if -3, or sorry, since -3 is an answer, sometimes we think that these two are the same, that y equals -3 and y equals -3x are kind of the same thing, because all we see is at -3, but we got to get past that. We got to remember that this is actually y equals -3x plus 0. So see, these two equations are different. And even though they're different, what we got to realize is we're looking at the origin according to this equation on D. So if we look at the origin, because it says y has got to be, or our y-intercept has to be 0, if we look at the origin, our graph isn't there, therefore this is not an answer. So this is how we can exclude the three answers to know that it's A. And to know how it's A through an equation, we have to remember we're looking for y equals mx plus b. And we have to figure out where this -4 goes. Well, our first instinct is to put it here and do this. Y equals -4 and then x and then plus b. And this equation is not the same as A was. What actually is the same is y equals 0x, because that's the only way we could have had 0 disappear, because notice how there's no x. Sorry, that's the only way we could have x disappear, is if it was being multiplied by 0 and then minus 4. That tells me that this is b, this is slope, and so my slope is 0, correct. That would give me a flat line, so we know this is correct. And then y equals -4, because if I rewrote this, 0 times anything is 0 minus 4, and 0 minus 4 equals -4. And so I'm looking for an equation, y equals -4, for this graph, and that happened to be A. So this was two ways we could have gone through if this was a standardized test to be able to check it. We went through and we realized that y equals 0 means our graph has to go through the origin, or at least when y was 0. I look up here, it's not anywhere near where y is 0, because y is 0 is basically anywhere on the x-axis. Here we're looking at the origin, it's not there, can't be it. Then I looked at y equals -3, and I remembered that if I take 0 times anything, so that means my slope is 0, so I get 0 times x minus 3, which is the same thing as y equals -3. So these two equations mean the same thing. So that means go to -3 as my y-intercept. It's not there, so that can't be an answer. Then I realize that I have to be adding 0 here. That means b has to be 0. Our graph is way down here. 0 is all the way up here, so this cannot be a correct equation. So we figured out how to do this through process of elimination, or we figured out how to solve it by writing what the equation is in its full, this is its full slope-intercept form. So full slope, I'm just going to write int form. And when we did that, we were able to solve and simplify and figure out that our actual equation is y equals -4, which was option A, so we got it. If you have any questions, make sure to send those to me tonight so I can prepare tomorrow for the lesson. And be safe out there, have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.